What is up, everybody, and welcome to Thursday Night Football. We're here, man. A couple weeks before Christmas, and we got an interesting game tonight that we're going to walk you through and answer all your questions. So if you're in chat, get all your questions in chat, and we'll do the best we can over the next 30 minutes or so to cover all this stuff and goof off and have a good time. As always, on Thursdays, joined by he had to sit out last week, but usually on Thursdays, and back again for this Thursday, Kyle Murray, one of the esteemed members of the projections team and many other things behind the scenes here at RG that you look at every day on a day-to-day basis, and you have no idea how they got there, but Kyle helps get us there. So, Kyle, how you doing?
You're far too kind, but yeah, doing good. Battling a little bit of a cold here, but yeah, I feel like I have a cold every day in December.
Man.
It never fails to hit me, but we're looking forward to some football and some basketball tonight, so it'll be a good one, that's for sure. So excited to talk about it with you.
It is that time of year. Everybody's getting sick, man. I mean, I hate to get sick around Christmas time, but it happens, and that is what it is. Guys, get those questions in chat because we will answer them, all of them, whatever you got. I know it's not a great game, but even more reason to ask questions and get a feel for whatever everybody else is thinking in a weird game like this. So we do have a bit of an oddball game here, Kyle, where like at a certain point in time we would have thought, oh, what an interesting game, but now, boy, everybody seems to be hurt. So let's look at the inactives real quick. We already know Justin Herbert done for the year, man. Good, young, promising quarterback. We love watching Herbert. He's exciting, and he's done now. He's tapped out. You have to wonder if this is the end of the Brandon Staley regime, man. He has wasted a lot of years here, and I don't know. But we know Herbert's out. But on the inactive list, Keenan Allen, he's out. We knew that was coming after some reports earlier this week, but Keenan Allen is out. Another big one. It's going to sneak under the radar because of Herbert and Keenan Allen, but Donald Parham. I don't think I have enough Gerald Everett, but I'll let you talk about that in a minute. So Donald Parham's out, and so there's some inactives over there. And earlier today, we get the news that Josh Jacobs is out, one of the two biggest playmakers for the Las Vegas. I apologize. Las Vegas offense is out. So there's a lot of stuff here going on in this game. Backup quarterbacks, neither one of them have looked particularly impressive at any point in their brief stint on the field. What do you make of these inactives here?
Yeah, obviously a lot of big name studs out there. Like, you look at this game, a few weeks ago, and you probably were looking at a pretty good one from a fantasy perspective. Obviously, fantasy playoffs are starting in a lot of leagues this week. So Keenan Allen, Josh Jacobs, those are names that are Herbert obviously off the board. So for a while there, it looked like Devontae Adams was questionable as well with an illness. He's going to play tonight. But yeah, it's definitely that time of year as well where maybe some guys are also as teams are falling out of the playoff race, not necessarily rushing back. But one name that I think is potentially going under the radar, you mentioned it, Donald Parham being out. I think that's pretty big for Gerald Everett. I already thought Everett was in a pretty good spot this week. We know that quarterbacks, young quarterbacks making their, first kind of go around like to rely or sometimes need to rely on checkdowns and sometimes those shorter routes. And Everett, Eckler, these two guys could both, make for some good safety options for Easton Stick here. So I think Parham being out is really interesting for Gerald Everett. And I like Everett quite a bit tonight, but I think that's probably the biggest piece of news that maybe isn't one of the headlining options, obviously, like Keenan Allen, Josh Jacobs, Justin Herbert. But yeah, definitely a lot of news in this one. Yeah,
lots of news here. It's going to be an interesting game. We'll talk about more players as we get more questions in here, and we can filter through those questions. I'm just glancing over the chat, see some of the guys come back for another Thursday game. Some of the regulars, some of the good guys here. Derek wants to know, am I getting the kids a dog for Christmas? Man, I'm going to say no. We have a dog. And by the way, our dog this past week has been battling something himself, his own sickness, man. Couldn't put my finger on it, Kyle. Then my son sends me this video this morning, and it's talking about a food recall from the place we get our food from for the dog. It had salmonella in it, and I'm thinking, wow, his symptoms his symptoms were an awful lot like that, like, everything that was going on. So you're not the only one sick, buddy. Everybody's getting sick. The dog's getting sick, but no,
Man.
we have a dog. That's good enough for now. And by the way, my mother-in-law just got a dog too. So that's kind of like our dog. And so, we got enough dogs now. I don't need to get it. Derek, I don't need another dog. The kids don't need another dog. Trust me. I'm the one who takes care of it and walks it and feeds it and everything. So don't need another dog. Carolina, what up? We see you out there. We'll get to your FanDuel questions here in just a minute. Is this going to be another 3-0 game? Hammer says, the Vegas Minnesota game ending 3-0 last week was quite interesting. Will it? The odds are against it, but I tell you what, Easton Stick doesn't impress me very much, and Austin Eckler has clearly lost a step, man. He battled that injury. I got to think it's the injury. I just don't think he fell off the map in 1 year. So yeah, they may have a hard time. They may have a hard time moving the ball there. So I don't know. Well, let's get to some questions. Kyle, let's get to the FanDuel stuff here because a couple guys chime in and they just do FanDuel. So single entry favorite MVP for you.
Yeah. So for single entry, I think for me, I'm probably looking at Eckler still. I do think that it's a spot where if you want to be a little bit contrarian, there's definitely some options there. But in single entry, I still think it's going to be either Eckler or Devontae Adams. I would say, and I'll give the slight edge to Eckler with the FanDuel scoring there. I know Eckler also benefits from PPR and all of his receptions, and that could be even more so tonight. But in terms of touchdown equity, I think I give the edge to Eckler slightly. And it's probably not even by that much, but I think I'll go Eckler just by a hair.
And what about if you were on FanDuel and that GPP was a large field, like a big one?
Yeah, then I think my favorite spot to go is one of these secondary Chargers pass catchers. I think Quentin Johnson is a guy. Josh Palmer is a guy that I like for the large field stuff. I wouldn't even mind using Gerald Everett as a captain or MVP option. I don't like to do that a whole lot in FanDuel where the prices don't change. You have more kind of incentive to kind of forego the cheap guys and pay up a little bit more. But Zamir White is also another one. So I would say my two favorite options would be Zamir White and Josh Palmer, probably for these large fields.
Yeah, Derek, you have to remind me where you're located because this particular plant, it was a plant in Texas that did several different brands just out in Texas, though. So you have to remind me where you're at, but it could be, man. You could be getting it. Your dog could got the same thing, but let's see here. Fade both quarterbacks, geek hippie. Fade both quarterbacks and use position players or kickers. What do you think about, like, we have two quarterbacks who just aren't particularly good. Is this the day we fade them both?
I think you could definitely do that. I still think that if you're playing, Devontae Adams in the captain spot or someone like that, I would probably want to pair him up with O'Connell just because, if we do have a big Adams game, they're just going to correlate that much. And I don't think that there's going to be, massive amounts of fantasy production. So if Devontae Adams is having the big game and he can kind of bring O'Connell along with him, it pays off there. And then for the Easton Stick discussion, we've seen some stuff from him. He played a lot in the preseason, so I got to see him a lot there. And I agree, I wasn't overly impressed, but I do think that he's going to be a guy that wants to run a little bit. So, if it's a guy that he can find the end zone with his feet or maybe, rack up 25, 30 rushing yards, his rushing prop was 21.5. So it's a pretty sizable number there for a guy making his debut. So, Vegas is also giving him some respect with his legs as well. So I do think that both the quarterbacks are in play, especially when you look at the projections. A lot of kind of bunched up guys. So I don't think this is a slate where you need to necessarily write off the quarterbacks, even though it's ugly. I think the rest of the slate is just also ugly. So it just kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah. Hammer says his dog is having ACL surgery in 2 weeks. Your dog tore an ACL. I didn't even know dogs could tear ACLs, man. $7K, dog care has just gotten out of hand with the cost. I don't, it's just ridiculous these days. But I feel for you, man. I go and get some testing done for my dogs, and I'm out a quick $300. I don't know how that happens, but it happens. All right. We have a couple questions here on the same guy, Stone Smart. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's min $200 on DraftKings. So He's in play over there as that punt option. Um, when we're talking about projections and whatnot, and where we're kind of looking at him based on projections, we didn't give him a whole lot just because of the fact that I do think Everett's going to be the guy there, and they do have another tight end as well, Nick Vannett. So I don't think it's totally clear that it's going to be smart as that second tight end option. Chargers have had some scenarios where they run a lot of two tight ends sets, but for the most part, one of those guys is blocking. So I wouldn't get overly excited with the ceiling just because Parham's out. Parham's different because he has a role in that team, and it's strictly as a pass catcher. Doesn't really block a whole lot, and he has red zone packages and plays drawn up for him. I don't think we're going to necessarily get that with guys like Smart and Vannett. So I think those guys are definitely in play as last piece in stone min punt plays, but I wouldn't go necessarily overboard. And I also think that there's potential that he gets a little bit more ownership than I love.
Yeah. QQ, Abdullah at captain, or am I stupid? Well, I like Abdullah tonight. I'll let Kyle have this one though.
Yeah, I think Abdullah's fine. I don't know if I like him in the captain spot just because, again, there are, you obviously have the top tier guys with Adams, Eckler, and then I would say the quarterback still, and even Zamir White I would put in that range. Then you have kind of the secondary guys with guys like Jacoby Myers, Palmer, Everett, Johnson. These guys I like a lot for captain options, so I probably won't be getting to a lot of punt options tonight. So probably no Abdullah captain for me, but I do think he's fine tonight.
I'll tell you why I don't mind Abdullah. It's We Major makes a point here. He says it strikes me as a game where the more money you leave on the table for lineups, the better chance you have of winning large field. That typically holds true, I think, for the showdowns when if you can get it right. If it happens that way, if it plays out, yeah, leave a lot of money and you get an independent lineup free from everybody else. But in this game in particular, I just think there's so much variance in this one. We don't know where this is really going to like. A year ago, this time I'd say, well, shoot, Devontae's going to crush it. Devontae's the best in the game, and he's not the best in the game right now. He's struggling, and everybody's struggling, and the Eckler's struggling, so there's no real stars in this game. The quarterbacks are out. Keenan Allen, there's no stars, so anybody can do it. And to think that Zamir White, who wasn't even that impressive in college, sometimes I throw back my thoughts in college and what they did in college and, how is it going to translate to the NFL. He wasn't like this big stud in college or anything. Maybe he's not the guy. Maybe they don't want to just force feed him Jacobs 30 carries. Maybe they do want to get a little passing game going out of the backfield. So I don't mind taking a shot on it like that. Anything can happen in a game like this. Matt D says he has $50 left over on Yahoo. I don't know what the Yahoo cap is, but that makes sense. That makes sense in a game like this. Thoughts on this game going over, Kyle, over the total? Ooh, that reminds me. I need to put in my teaser, man.
Yeah. I actually, maybe it's a little bit of a recency bias there with last week's game looking like it was, I think it had 30 total last game and last Thursday night game. And obviously it went over that in the first half. But, I think this is still a low number. I think that there's a definite chance. But I think in terms of when building lineups, I like to build my lineups tonight as if the game we're going to go over, because I do think that people might get a little carried away with, Raiders defense, maybe even both defenses really. And, you can easily just get a little bit contrarian by building around a shootout. So my lineups are definitely going to be hoping for the over to hit here.
Yeah. Let's see here. What else we got? Does Eckler score a touchdown tonight? Kyle, what do you think? Eckler on the props?
I think if I had to say yes or no, I would probably say no. Like if I was trying to, go based on the projections and whatnot. But yeah, I think he's the most likely player to score from the Chargers. But I think we have him projected for just scoring a touchdown just under half the time. So I guess I would say no, but he's probably the most likely player to score from the Chargers.
Man.
So, yeah.
Hey, Kyle, we got some this stinks, Kyle. We got some breaking MLB news. The Dodgers get Tyler Glass now. Man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's terrible, man. It's terrible. Shohei ruining the game by deferring all his damn money for
that's
20 years, man. That's crazy. That's ridiculous. But Dodgers are trying to Dodgers are trying to build some sort of a super team over there. I hope they get bounced in the second round per usual, but yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Justin Jefferson's going to play on Saturday. So we got that going for us on that game. Hey, how you like these Saturday games, man? We got some Saturday games coming. A little 3-gamer slate, all island games too. What do you think about that?
I like it. Yeah, I like the little 3-game slate. It's kind of very similar. Obviously, it's almost exact the same with the breakdown of like the Thanksgiving slate where you have the 3 island games like you mentioned. So yeah, I like it a lot. Sometimes it does hurt the Sunday slate a little bit, but we don't have a ton of teams on obviously no teams on bye, so you don't have to worry about that. But the 3 Saturday games I'm a big fan of. I like those days. So yeah.
Tell you why I like it, man, because last Saturday was the first one without any real college football in about 15 weeks, and man, was it bad? Was it boring? Like I didn't know what to do with myself. So now at least we get some football going on here, like some actual real football. We can sit down and watch and play lineups, not just a single game. So yeah, I like that, man. Question: Abdullah and White in the same lineup. I would say no chance, but what do you think? Abdullah and White in the same lineup.
I think that White is so cheap to where you can do that. I mean, you could argue that Zamir White he has a pretty good shot at being the highest scoring player on the slate if the game goes a certain way. Like if it's an ugly game, if it's like a 10-7 game and Zamir White scores and Devontae Adams doesn't score for the Raiders, there's a good chance that Zamir White could be the highest scoring player on the slate at 3K. So when you consider that, Abdullah is almost 2K more expensive than White. Obviously, this pricings came out when DraftKings was clearly expecting Jacobs to play, but so I think just because of that, you can make the case there. But I do think that in a large field spot where you're looking to definitely take advantage of maxing out the upside, you would probably want to not have them in the same lineup, but you can make a case for it just because of how cheap they both are.
QQ Dicker the kicker at captain. Would you play a kicker in captain tonight?
No, not in the captain spot. I just think that there's a handful of guys that you can make a case for that are even in that price range, but let alone just as position players. So yeah, definitely going to go with non-kicker in the captain tonight.
We got a question from Derek wants to know who will be lower owned at captain, Eckler or Everett. Now I'm going to pull up the RG projections here real quick and see if I can go to the captain spot and see it. It's got to be Eckler. Yeah, I mean Eckler's always going to be much higher owned than Gerald, I mean, like by a mile. So yeah, Eckler's more owned. Based on that ownership, though, what do you think? Eckler or Everett? I mean, Eckler's more likely to outscore him usually, but I mean, based on that ownership, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I like Everett there, honestly. It feels weird, but I like Everett quite a bit tonight. The price, if you play Everett there, I don't really think you need to worry about price in this slate. I think that's the first thing that should probably be mentioned. Like Zamir White is a really strong play. You should probably have a good amount of Zamir White, and he's only 3K, so that's going to open up a lot of salary. You have a couple of other cheap options as well, so you don't necessarily need to play Everett in the captain to open up salary in the rest of your lineup. But if you do that, you definitely don't have to worry about salary anywhere else, and you can leave more on the table to ensure that you're not duping anybody there. But my hot take in the survey today was that Everett scores twice. And that was before Parham was ruled out. So I liked Everett even before Parham was ruled out. So yeah, it's going to be dangerous. So I'm going to be playing with fire here with Gerald Everett tonight. That's for sure.
I agree, man. I liked Everett beforehand. I like him even more now. But did the Spidey bombs hit yesterday? That's his username. That's a good one. Wants to know my favorite tool for building NFL lineups. Is it Sims Lab, Lineup HQ, the Blitz? What is it? I would say it's definitely got to be Lineup HQ in some ways, not necessarily the projections, although the projections, yes. But I'm thinking you meaning just the actual tool itself of Lineup HQ, where I can get the Blitz if I want the Blitz. I can get the RG projections. If I have other systems I want to upload, I can do it there. I can then aggregate all those projections, which I've been getting more into here recently. So you got all that stuff going. It's definitely Lineup HQ. It's everything at one time. That's kind of like back in the day. I remember years ago, it was all about research, man. I'm going to read as much and listen to as much as I can. And, I'm going to try to find these nuggets. They're just, things are getting so much smarter these days. I was just thinking about it today, man, when I was walking the dog was like, it's just change. Everything evolves and changes so much. The game is just not the same as it was 5 years ago. So now these projections that are out there, whether it's RG or the Blitz or I don't want to name drop, but ETR or Stochastic or whoever you go to, projections are just so sharp and smart, man. They're taking into account the things we used to have to dig up by hand. Like I was just thinking today when I had the Case Keenum to Andre Johnson connection one week, and I made a killing, and it was because I had to dig up, the first read percentage Case Keenum to Andre Johnson. Now projections are taking all this into account, so you don't have to do all that. So lineup HQ because it's all in one time. But what would be your favorite tool for building NFL lineups?
Yeah, I would agree. I think lineup HQ, like you said, you can kind of you have so much data and so much information there. Like even outside of projections, you have, now you have the simulation data that we're putting in there with, the optimal percentage and all that stuff. Obviously, that's main slate stuff, but obviously ownership's a big one as well. But then you have like the Vegas odds. When you have the main slate stuff, you have the player props. You have some of the stats that you need there. It is funny though, like when you say that, like even before I really got into projection stuff. So obviously this is probably 5-6 years ago, even longer probably. I remember do all the handwritten stuff. I don't know the last time I even used a pen or pencil, to be honest. So that's definitely a funny thing to think about there for sure. But I would say lineup HQ just because you have all the resources that you need in there. But in terms of showdown slates and MME, I do think like SimLabs has made my life a lot easier in terms of building lineups, especially like doing them quickly and knowing that you're gonna have good lineups. So definitely a big fan of SimLabs, but for the most part, lineup HQ is forever going to be kind of the gold standard for me. And that I don't think I've ever built a lineup on a DFS slate without using lineup HQ. So I'll definitely go with that.
Yeah, and speaking of SimLabs, we'll get this in here real quick. We got use SimLabs to generate DFS lineups through the power of simulation, combines the data from every aspect of the slate to churn out lineups that match your preference in just a few clicks. You get hundreds of lineups, all that good stuff. All combo and NFL premium subscribers have access to the NFL SimLabs right now. So combo and NFL premium, it is no longer free, but it's good. So, if you're thinking about getting those tools to finish out the year, you get that in there too. And I know he's talking about the other day, Jamino was saying that NBA's on the way. He's just got to tweak a few things to make it really, really good. But that's on the way. So you got all that. And you know what, Kyle? We got 9 minutes left. I don't want to bury the lead here and not get our Plums play of the night in here, man. So I'm gonna defer to you first and let you go first. But let's get our Plums, feeling it in the Plums play of the night, man.
Yeah, I think I probably gave it away earlier, man. But it's gonna be Everett. I like Gerald Everett a lot. I feel like I've been picking tight ends for the Plums play a lot this season, but honestly, they've been working out. So if I would have been on the show last week, hopefully I would have picked Hunter Henry, who had 2 touchdowns, and I think Everett might follow in his footsteps here. 2 touchdowns is a lot. I'm not necessarily predicting that, but I do like Everett, and I'll take him as my Plums play of the day.
If you wouldn't have said Everett, I would have said Everett because I do like him a lot too. There's something about the safety blanket for a young quarterback. I do like that. But you said him, so I'm going to go elsewhere. And I'll go way off the radar then. I'll go, of course, I think Everett's going to have a good game, and Zamir White and Devontae Adams. I'll go way off the reservation here, man. And I'll go Quentin Johnson. And I say that because we don't know what Easton Stick is thinking. We don't know who he showers with, who he rooms with on the road, and all this other stuff. I do know when he came in the game last week for an injured Justin Herbert, he immediately hit Quentin Johnson for 71, 72 yards worth of passes right away. Maybe those guys have a connection. Maybe they're 2 young guys who've been playing on the practice squad there for a while, together. I don't know the chemistry there, but maybe there's something there. So I'll take Quentin Johnson, especially with Keenan Allen out. So I got Quentin Johnson, a Chargers wide receiver. You got a Chargers pass catcher also. I guess we think maybe Easton Stick is going to find somebody that he likes and target him all night. So there you go. Plums play of the night. Get it, man. We got it. All right. A few more questions here, man. They're coming in. We got to get. Let's see here. Do I fade Eckler today? He's been trash lately. If you do, is it Spiller season? Man, you fading Eckler, and if you are, who's the next man up?
Yeah, I'm probably not like fading Eckler. I'll probably be pretty close to where the field is. But last week coming up to the game, there was talks about Josh Kelly getting more involved and sort of splitting carries there. Maybe not splitting them, but getting more work from Eckler. And that didn't really pan out. Actually, Isaiah Spiller came and he got more carries than Kelly. So this is a spot where I think I kind of want to fade what we saw last week. I just don't think that they'll go to Spiller continuously because Kelly's been involved in this offense for the past couple of years, really. So I'm sort of like, based on the projections, we kind of did it pretty even between Spiller and Kelly, but I do think that in my gut, Kelly will get more than Spiller tonight. So I probably wouldn't go to Spiller if I wasn't playing Eckler and I wanted to play running back. I think I would still go with Josh Kelly there, but I don't think you need to fade Eckler here. I think he's going to be involved in the passing game quite a bit. His price tag isn't really all that crazy either. So I think that there's a lot to like about Eckler tonight. And although he's been bad and he's looked slow, he did have a couple of plays last week where I thought, okay, maybe the steps getting back a little bit there. He like ran over a guy near the sideline after looking pretty quick. So maybe he's getting healthier. I don't know, but probably not a lot that you want to read into there. But regardless, I think the role will be pretty good here for Eckler.
All right. On FanDuel, Quinn Johnson and Zamir White or Devontae and Palmer?
Ooh, that's a good one. I will take Devontae and Palmer slightly, just because of Devontae Adams, but I do like Samir White a lot. But I'll go with the second one slightly, very close though.
Yeah, I'd go there because you value on FanDuel the touchdown so much, and Devontae's the touchdown guy, and Palmer's a big play threat too. So I would definitely take that one. Question: 5-1 Raiders seems to be chalk. I don't know, man. I don't see it. I think the Chargers have a lot of cheap pass catchers and Eckler, and I think people will go with more than just one Charger in a build. So I don't think 5-1 Raiders will be that chalky, but I don't know. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, we got the Plums play of the night out, but we appreciate you bringing that up. Uh, yeah. All right. Question for you. No, we just did that one, buddy. You come on, Darren. You can't repeat your question. You gotta give me a chance to get to it, man. I bet the 2 touchdowns, Kyle. Okay, yeah, TJ's got his 2 touchdowns. Man, I wish I could bet legally in Texas. I would ladder Gerald Everett in some way, shape, or form tonight. In some, whether it's receiving yards or touchdowns, I'd ladder him. Yeah, for sure. I think he's going to have a big game. Is Abdullah a sneaky captain? Is Abdullah a sneaky captain for you?
Yeah, he'll definitely be sneaky. We have him for less than 1%. I just think that personally, the Zamir White captain ownership, like we have him third right now in terms of captain ownership. I think I think he should maybe a little bit higher than that. So I don't know. It's tough to say, but I think Abdul will definitely be sneaky. I don't know if I'll personally play him a ton in the captain spot, but I'll have some of them in the flex for sure.
Adams or Eckler as the captain in a FanDuel large field?
Um, I'll take Eckler still slightly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in a large field, I mean, if you're doing like the what is it, the $9 to win 100K or something, where you've got to be
Yeah,
just like something crazy, I probably wouldn't use either one of them. They're both there. That's the top 2 options on FanDuel and Captain. But in a field that large, if I really legit want that prize to myself, you probably got to get away from both of those guys. To be honest with you, if it's that
that's true.
$9 tournament. So, good question though. Hammer, Merry Christmas to you too. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Kyle, we got about 2.5 minutes left, man. I think, and the questions, I think we got through most of them. So go ahead and give me something to get out of here for the people on this wonderful football night.
Yeah, hopefully we can get some points on the board. That's for sure. I think we all, as much as you can still have fun playing DFS and betting in low scoring games. I think we all enjoy it a little bit more when we're not seeing punt after punt after punt. But we've seen some quarterbacks come out of nowhere and have some impressive debuts. Josh Dobbs had a big one. There's been a couple other names. So I'll go Easton Stick. Maybe he has a big game here.
I like it. I like it. All right, guys, we appreciate you tuning in. We talked a little bit about the Sim Labs and how nice that is. We also got the props package at RG. We didn't talk much about the props. Usually we get into that more, and I'm going to get into that more moving forward. But we got the package here at RG if you want to get that. It's awesome. I actually hit like a little 3-teamer last night just looking at those guys' picks. So got all the good content here, man. These guys put a lot of time and effort into it, but we appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate all the questions. We will be back on. There's a Sunday night game. Then we'll be back on. I'll be back on Monday with Squirrel. Until then, good luck in those GPPs. For Kyle, I was Chop. We're out of here.